Good afternoon and welcome to the Walker Valley Coaches Show. I'm Jacob Mason, joined by two special guests, Luke Hawkins and Ty Parker, both seniors on the offensive line this year. Boys, how we doing?
Good. Pretty good.
Doing good. Awesome. Well, hey, let's just jump right in. Just talk about the year so far. Ty, we'll start with you. You know, you're one of the captains this year. Talk about what has just made this year so successful, but also just different than previous years.
I think it's just a matter of us working a lot harder in the off season. I think just being better. I think we're just better players.
Yeah, it really seems like you guys have bought into a message that the coaches have given you guys this year.
Yes, sir. Definitely bought in.
Yeah, and then so Luke, kind of just talk about the chemistry on the offensive line. It really seems like you guys are a brotherhood. As a former offensive lineman myself, I've been a part of offensive lines that have been quick to point the finger and blame one another, and I've been a part of offensive lines that have picked each other up and gone to the next play. Just kind of talk about what you guys have bought into this year.
Yeah, I think we just kind of accepted and we trust the coaches on their game plan, and we feel like we can trust each other enough, and we play well together. So I feel like we just have a really good chemistry, and it's like we can trust on each other to do their jobs. Everybody does their jobs, and we just feel really good together. We have fun, and we just have fun on the O-line, and we get to play good.
Yeah. Well, last year I remember talking about just the youth at offensive line, what experience it come to be in fruition. And now you've got a bunch of guys, older guys on the offensive line that have really worked together, have a lot of game time experience. Kind of just talk about how from last year to this year, what you guys feel like you've improved on. Either one.
Okay. I definitely think we've gotten stronger up front, which definitely helps. We were really, really weak last year.
Yeah.
Getting some giggles from Coach over here. So stronger. What do you think, Luke?
I think we've just have a better team bond, and we have a strong connection because we're closer in age, I think, and it's just a better team bonding at the O-line this year.
Yeah, you definitely can see it on Friday nights. You can tell that you guys are a cohesive unit, and on top of that, the physicality just seems different this year. It seems like you guys have really bought into being physical up front and just kind of asserting your will. And also, you know, outside of the run, you've been really great in pass protection this year. You know, Evans had a lot of time to get the ball out, and like we were talking pregame, you know, knock on wood, but we haven't had a sack in 2 weeks, and hopefully we're going to carry that into next Friday. Kind of talk about your relationship with Evan. It kind of seems like you guys all have a love for QB1, as you should, as the offensive line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, we love Evan. He's a brother to me, and I don't ever want him to be hurt or anything, so I'm putting my life on the line, and I know that everybody else on the O-line is doing the same for him.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Ty?
I mean, he's definitely. I love him. Obviously, we're good buddies. So I just don't want anything to ever happen to him, and just want to keep him protected as I can up front.
Yeah, you can definitely see that on film. You know, just watching on Friday nights whenever Evan gets pushed out of bounds a little late, there's about 5 or 6, and sometimes if it's on y'all's sideline, there's a couple more hats that are running after that last person to touch him. So you definitely can tell that there's a connection and a buy-in from the offensive line this year. But guys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you guys. We've talked about you all year long. I don't know if Coach Akins has told you. We've sung your praises. Y'all have done a great job, and hopefully we can carry that into this Friday night as well.
Yep.
Thank you.
Welcome back to another playoff edition of the Walker Valley Football Coaches Show, supplied all season long by Wholesale Supply Group. They are open to the public. And once again, I'm Andy Morris along with Jacob Mason and Walker Valley head football coach, Region Championship Mustang head coach, Drew Akins. Coach Akins, good to have you with us again today.
Great to be here, as always, man. I love spending our Mondays like this. It's always good.
So, again, first round of the playoffs here at the MAC. considering the weather, pretty good turnout. We want to see even more this weekend, this Friday. But again, a record-setting night for the Mustangs. 74 points on the board against Cannon County. 74-33 final score. Coach, just a quick recap before we get going on some film here in a minute.
Yeah, it was a really special night. Obviously, we did a lot of great things throughout the night. We had some struggles there in the second quarter, but I told our team today, and I told our coaching staff over the weekend, it was kind of nice for our team to see us win a different way. Kind of builds some confidence when you're always winning that 17-14, 21-8. Those kind of games, you become a defensive-laden team. And it was nice for our kids to go out and win a game a different way. Have to win on offense where our defense they didn't play bad. When you go back and watch it, we just gave up big plays on long yardage downs. So when you do that, makes it feel choppy, and it was nice for our offense to pick our defense up because it hasn't been that way this year. So it was a nice way to win a ball game.
So one of the first things that Coach Harvey said to me today at school when I saw him, he just kind of shook his head. He said, "We got some things to fix." So he's already locked in and ready to go. He said you guys had met Sunday and went over film already, prepping for this week's game against a tough opponent in Lenior City. Absolutely. So just touching on Lenior City a little bit, one thing that I can say too, scrolling through the playoff bracket and seeing that 74 there catches your attention if you're these other teams. So what do you anticipate from a team like Lenior City?
Well, I think everybody we see are going to play as hard as they can. At this point in the year, there's 16 teams left. So everybody that's left playing is going to be a great opponent. It's something we're going to have to make sure we're locked in, focused. If we want to keep playing football, we want to keep playing together, we're going to take everyone's best shot, especially after scoring, that amount of points. It kind of ratchets up the focus of the other team, and they know, hey, we got to lock in on what these guys are doing. And when we get to the film, I'll show you some of the stuff that we did that stresses the defense, but also when they're watching film, they're going to make sure they have a plan for it, and we got to make sure that we have adjustments as we move forward. I think that's something we've done a great job throughout this year. We've not been stagnant in what we've ran. These last 2 weeks, we look vastly different than we looked at the beginning of the year. So we got to continue to develop offense, make sure that we have adjustments, that when they adjust, that we know how to counter their adjustments. So it becomes a really fun cat and mouse game here at the end of the year that, you're playing the best team, so you got to make sure that you're on point as coaches and making sure you're making adjustments at the right time.
Meaningful football, no doubt.
Yeah.
So, Coach, before we hop into the film, we're going to talk about all the good things we did. Reeling it back a little bit to the defense side of the ball, because we're not going to break down that part of the film. What adjustments needed to be made? Because the explosive plays were an issue on the first half of Friday night. What was the cause of that? Well, what are we going to do to fix it? I was just interested because that's not very characteristic of our defense.
Well, when you look at when the things happen, you look at they scored 20 points in the second quarter, which is more than we give up most games. I think the most we had given up in a game defensively was 21 to Bradley. Obviously, the 2 special teams touchdowns were not defensive touchdowns. So when you look at that, how did they score 20 points in one quarter when for the year we had never given up more than 17 other than the one game? And I really think it was just a lack of focus on big-time downs. We had them in 3rd and 13. We had them in 4th and 17. We had them in 3rd and 14. And we gave up big plays on those. And there were plays that we had worked, things that our kids knew were coming. And Braxton Smith even said, I knew they were coming, and we practiced that in practice, but they ran it so much better than we were expecting. So I think there was a little lack of focus on that, and we got a little overly aggressive. Early in the game, Braxton drives on the post and breaks it up. And then later they hit him on a post and go, which we knew they had that in their offense. But he's trying to make a play on 3rd and 13 and make sure that they don't get to the sticks. And when they broke vertical on it, they just got us. And But listen, the cool thing that happened, it was obviously 7-6 at the end of the first quarter, and then it's 41-27 at halftime, which is crazy. Nobody ever expected that. But what happened that was cool is after halftime, we settled in. Hey, stay on top of everything. Make sure we're reading our keys. Make sure we're doing what we need to do. And they only got 7 in the second half, and really allowed us to extend that lead out to where we had a really comfortable win in the end. But definitely, it had some adversity, had to refocus. We got punched in the mouth a little bit, and we were staggering. But then we come out of halftime and only give up 7. And I really like the adjustments that we made defensively to make sure we didn't keep a track meet going, that we made the track meet a little more one-sided.
Yeah, if there's a defensive staff that's going to correct some wrongs, it's definitely this one. But Coach, that was a great analysis. I'm excited to see this week. Got another tough challenge, but before that, let's hop into some of the good things that we did this week.
Yeah, so the film this week's pretty cool. I'm going to show some of the touchdown throws that we had, and then some good things that we did do on defense.
So if you are listening to us on Sports 99.1, you can catch the video portion of this show on YouTube on WCLE Mix 104.1's YouTube page.
All right, so this is early in the game. This is play 3 or 4, and we had this drawn up. So I feel like one thing that I can say over the last couple weeks that we've done really well, and really all year, is we've scripted really well. So when I say script, that we make a 10 to 15 play script that we rarely deviate off of. The other night we ran the entire script, and it took us 2 or 3 drives to get through all 10 plays because, like I said here, this is play 3 or 4 and we score on it. So we pick up right after on this in the second drive, and we start on play 5. So we went through our script. I feel like we've scripted really well.
Yeah.
Obviously the touchdown play 2 against McMinn, that was a script. We knew that was coming, and felt really good about that play. So we're trying to make sure we script things that we feel Cleveland game. Early on, same thing. Play 2, we scripted a touchdown there that we knew was going to come, and we're giving Evan the answers. I think you can see here when we start this. Again, this is play 2 or 3, but if you watch the bottom of the screen, you'll see me. I know right now. See me throw my hands? It's a touchdown because they're in exactly what we thought they were going to be in. So, we knew going into this, hey, I'm throwing my hands already. The ball hadn't even been snapped because I know they're in exactly what we thought they'd be in. And I'm yelling to Evan, hey, yep, because I was just telling him, hey, they're in what we practiced. So what you'll see is the really cool concept that we've been running, where we run that same protection y'all saw against McMinn, where it looks like power read. We shuffle out. Zeke does a great job of stressing the defense horizontally. But what we're looking at is this safety right here. And what we want to try to do is we want to try to get this safety to a point where he has to make a decision. Is he going to guard this inside receiver, or is he going to cover deep? And what you'll see him do in this is he's going to cover our inside receiver, and it opens up Hudson over the top. Man, Evan was just on point, too.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Just kind of hearing your confidence in the play before the ball was even snapped. Part of that has got to be because you know who's getting the snap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, guys, we've talked about it a few weeks now, and it's something that we've just, as coaching staff, we kind of look silly for not doing it earlier, but we're going to put the ball in one's hands, and we're going to trust him to make good decisions. And sometimes he makes really good decisions, and sometimes he makes poor decisions that work out. I'm going to show you a clip of that as well. But the kid's just making plays right now. He's got a ton of confidence, and we're going to trust that confidence. So from this view, you can really see safety drives down on Brady, number 2, and it opens up the post behind. Really cool concept. I got to give a shout out to my buddy Paul Shelton. He's the one that kind of taught us this concept and gave us a really good it really ran it throughout the year and had a lot of success with it.
And a great route on that skinny post, too.
Yeah.
You don't want to do too much running that route, and that was the perfect route.
Yeah, man, Hudson has just become really special at an outside receiver. We've never had, in my 15 years, I've never had an outside receiver that's doing the things that Hudson's doing. I think he's up to 8 touchdowns, up over 650 yards receiving. He leads our team in reception, so he's probably one of the better, if not the best, outside receiver that we've had through my career. So really special to have. This is that same play, guys. I just keep showing you this because it's so cool. But this is that buck sweep over here to the boundary. We're going to flash Tanner across, and it's going to freeze those linebackers just enough, and you're going to see Evan be able to go in untouched off the edge. So really cool play design. We made a couple tweaks with it this week too that we really like, but wanted to show that again. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. We've covered that play several times, but really cool play. So we talked about the struggles we had on defense. This is one of those plays. I said early in the week, and I'll tell y'all, I said, man, Jacob sat out all week. Jacob didn't practice Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, just trying to get him healthy, trying to get our guys to Friday night. Him, CP, we just got a lot of bumps and bruises. So the big thing right now is, hey, let's get our dudes to Friday, but make sure they know what's going on. And I said early in the week, man, I really hope Jacob heals up and he's able to play, because this is the week Jacob's going to undercut something and have a pick six. And it showed up. Jacob does a great job all the time of finding these throwing lanes. So you can see Jacob take his run read. Great job taking the run read, and then he knows, look at him turn his eyes. That's what I love most about this play is Jacob finds the receiver, settles underneath it, and they throw it straight to him. And then the run after catch, really cool.
To do that, to be able to take your eyes off the quarterback and anticipate that throw, find the receiver, and then turn back once the ball's already in flight is extremely impressive.
Yeah, and also he's been due. We talked about that on Friday night. He's had a couple that he probably wish he could have back, and that time he made the best of it for sure.
I remember Polk County had two that hit him in the hands, but he's done this throughout his career. I mean, we've been watching this since Jacob was a sophomore. Jacob had the most interceptions in JV games as a sophomore. So he's been doing this for a long time. That's why we kind of knew. From this angle, it's really cool. You see him take his run read, find the receiver, and you see the window that the quarterback saw. I mean, the window's there. It's a nice little window, but he's late. And when you're late on a play like this, it allows somebody like Jacob to undercut it and then go score. I love the reaction of our defense, fighting to get in the end zone. That's a really cool play by them. Here's the one where I'm talking about sometimes he doesn't make a great decision and still makes a play. So this is late in the game, or late in the half, 6 seconds left. We're up by 7 at this point, so really have not extended the lead out. But a great drive right before halftime. I think we got the ball back with less than 50 seconds left, up by 7, and I said, hey, let's try to go get points here. I really, really wanted to make sure we got some points. Got up by 2 scores. So there's 6 seconds left, and we call a timeout right before this. I say, Evan, I want you to take a 3-step drop, make a decision, and throw the football. That was the coaching. Well, he did exactly the opposite, right? But what good things are going to happen when you put the ball in your guy's hands.
I just realized what play it was, you saying that.
Yeah. So,
I love it.
Because theoretically, 6 seconds left, you can take a shot to the end zone.
Yep.
And I'm telling the referee right before this, hey, I need you to watch the clock. Watch when the football hits the ground. Watch the clock. Make sure you know that, because it's not going to take 6 full seconds. But a lot of times that clock won't get stopped in time. So I wanted to make sure the referee knew, hey, we're going to get this ball out of our hand, and I wanted to make sure you watch the clock and you know there's a second left. Obviously, it didn't work out that way. So put the ball in Evan's hands. He takes the 3-step drop and then decides to scramble. Scrambles out to the right, and at this point, you can see me at the bottom of the screen covering. I do the the surrender cobra, because I was so frustrated with Evan in that moment because he just didn't do what he's coached to do. But when you put the ball in your dude's hands, man, they're going to make plays. Great job by Hudson finding the throwing lane, and great job by Evan making a play. I walked him off the field at the end of half, and I was like, man, we look so stupid if you don't make that. If we don't score there, you make me look so stupid. And he said, Coach, we scored. You don't look stupid. I was like, I know, you're right. But great job by Evan making a play.
That's such an Evan response, too.
It's a perfect response, and man, that's why he's so great. So really cool by Evan. Nice scramble out. You can see there him find that space and good window. So those are the big plays I wanted to show y'all. Him making those plays. Obviously, Braxton had the pick 6 late in the game. And we had a couple more, Eulo with the big-time post, Brady Stack with a big-time post. But all in all, just a great game. Great game by Evan. Obviously, 15 of 18, 315 yards, 5 touchdown passes. Great game by him. And like I said, gained a lot of confidence as a team, seeing that we can win a ball game a different way. We've won those low-scoring defensive battles all year long, so it was nice to win a ball game with our offense.
Yeah, you referenced those 2 catches by Roman and Brady. Something along with that first touchdown you showed. The touch was just impeccable. Yeah. You go back and look. I think it was the Brady Stack touchdown. The defender couldn't have covered it any better. The ball was just placed exactly where it needed to be. And then Lord Roman Yulo was basically tackled beforehand. His hands were being pulled back and was able to turn around. Just, one's playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah, he's putting the ball in great spots. But I'll tell you this, man, our receivers are making plays. Mm-hmm. Our receivers are going making catches, tough catches, like you said, good defense, but we're making great decisions. What the crowd doesn't see and what y'all probably don't know is we're making choice routes. These receivers have choices. They don't have to run the post. They don't have to run the vertical. They don't have to run the dropout. They're getting to yardages and making decisions. They're just making really good decisions, and Evan's seeing it. They're on the same page. They're on time, and it's creating some really cool offense for us. So it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to be a part of. But going into Lenior City, going into this week, we're going to have to make sure we keep playing as well as we are because we got a great football team coming in here Friday.
Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there were 7 different pass catchers in last Friday's game. I believe it was 7 was the number. One guy I want to talk about real quick before we go to break, Tate Roundtree. He's done the dirty work all year long. We've seen him doing a great job picking up blitz, doing a good job blocking. Had a few receptions on the night as well.
Yeah, Tate's done a great job. I've said all year long, Tate's kind of made us go. When we run the ball really well, it's because Tate's playing really well. But Tate is low-key athletic and does a great job, getting in the flat. And once he has the ball in his hands, he's really dynamic with the ball in his hands. He's physical runner. He's quick.
You can tell he gets fired up once the ball's in his hands.
Yeah,
no
for
doubt.
sure. He did a great job. But, 7 pass catchers. Tate had 3 of those catches. So, big time.
Big fourth down.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, to open the game. I told somebody the other night, we went for it twice in the first quarter on 4th down at the 50. Like, those were gutsy calls, and you saw our kids just don't blink. They're so used to going for it on 4th down. We've made those decisions. You'll see early in the game we went run play on 3rd and 7, knowing that if we could get to 4th and 3 that we were going for it. We made a good run, got the yards that we want, and then put the ball in Evan's hands, sprinted out, and he found Tate. So, our confidence on offense right now is at a high level. So we've got to make sure that we continue to make those plays and give our defense a chance to breathe. But we've got to go play a complete game this week to be able to make sure that we're successful on both sides. You said 7 guys caught passes. That was really cool. A cooler stat for me is we had 8 different guys score touchdowns. That's a cool thing to be able to give our kids, so many kids, the opportunity to go make plays and then them go make plays. Tanner with 2 rushing touchdowns, Malachi with a rushing touchdown, Hudson, Brady, Yulo, and then the 2 pick sixes and Evans run. It was a great night, great team win, and excited to win the ball game kind of a different way.
Yeah, things definitely came together there in the second half. So before we go to our commercial break, once again, we want to thank Wholesale Supply Group for being our sponsor. You can catch this interview with the video footage on YouTube on WCLE's Mix 1041 YouTube page. So with that, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk round 2 of the playoffs and Lenior City.
Welcome back to the Walker Valley Coaches Show. I'm Jacob Mason here with Coach Akins and Andy Morris. Coach, it's Lenior City week. It couldn't be 2 opposite opponents that we're playing. We went real pass heavy last Friday night, and Lenior City, from what I understand, is probably more of a 70-30 split, run the ball, and they've got a dude at running back.
Yeah, really special on offense and really puts you in a bind. You think back to those old Ray County teams that were really tough because they ran an offense that nobody really runs anymore. This is very similar. It's not the same offense. Wing T, everybody kind of knows wing T. You just don't see it very often, so it's so hard to defend. This is called single wing. So single wing is an offense, old offense, and what it does is it puts your athletes with the ball in their hand with a bunch of blockers in front of them. And they got a kid that is one of the most athletic kids we've seen all year. I would say he's the most athletic kid at our level in 5A that we've seen throughout the entire season. Really, really tough, hard-nosed runner. He's got about 1,400 yards rushing on the season. He's thrown for 400 or 500 yards. He's caught passes. He returns kicks. He's their safety. He's kind of their do-everything. Really, really talented kid, and we're going to have to make sure we know where he is all the time. He had some big runs last week, but every single week it seems like he's breaking long runs and really creating offense for them. So it's going to be a great challenge for us. Like you said, it's a vastly different challenge than we saw last week with the passing game and Campbell's County's quarterback and how talented he was and what a great game by that kid. But this week is going to be vastly different, and we're going to have to kind of bow our backs again like McMinn County and Ray County, Pure Academy, the run-heavy offense that we've got to make sure that we're prepared to put our nose in it and play tough defense with great effort. I think when you see them, you're going to see a team that doesn't physically look imposing, but when you watch their film, man, I'm not sure I've seen a team play as hard as this team plays. Offensively and defensively, they just fly to the football. They fight you when they're blocking. It's going to be a tough game for us. We've got to make sure that we're up to that challenge defensively. And then offensively, we got to make sure we stay on blocks and that we create offense off their aggressiveness. They're so aggressive, so we've got to make sure that we're prepared for that up front. We got to make sure we protect Evan. But then when Evan has the football, we got to be able to make plays down the field and use their aggressiveness and try to get behind them at receiver and continue to make plays at receiver like we have.
Coach, when you said single wing, I think me and Newt Rockney both smiled a little bit, me being a Notre Dame fan that I am. How do you defensively prepare your team to face an offense like that again, you very rarely see, and the way they run it is extremely unique?
Yeah, I think the word you used is the right one. Prepare. How do you prepare for this? Our defensive staff is going to put a great plan together, but how do you make sure you don't go through 2 drives of the game before you feel comfortable because you've given, our scout guys are going to be so important this week. Putting our scout offense into a position where they know what they're doing and they can do it fast enough to give our defense a really great picture of what we're going to see Friday. That's the most difficult part in these kind of offenses. It's really easy to line up with 3 wide receivers and a Y back and say, hey, we're going to throw the ball around. That's easy because we do that. Our JV goes down there and they essentially just run plays that they run every day. When you're doing such a unique offense, the preparation becomes very difficult because you got to get guys that have never ran this offense before to go line up and do the shifts that they do pre-snap and then be able to run the ball the way they do. Like I said, you got one of the best athletes that I've seen in 5A carrying the ball every single snap. So who do you put there to make sure that you get a good look at what's going on? That way you're prepared, because a lot of times what will happen in these kind of games is it'll take a drive or 2 sometimes in order to feel comfortable with what they're doing. And the look isn't different, but the speed at which they play is very different. So we got to make sure that we do a great job on the scouts, making sure our scouts know what to do, and then they go play hard against our defense to give them a great look.
So it kind of sounds familiar the way you described them too. Obviously different offense, but Carnes, last year they constantly looked to find a way to get the ball in their running back's hands. So any indication from last year on how we attack that? I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, if it's anything like last year, I'll be happy. It's going to be very difficult to hold this team to 14. And then they were, again, a different offense. When hey, they're going to be Y back, 3 wide receivers, and number 8's going to get the ball. That's very different than, hey, they have 6 guys on this side of the offensive line, and they have 2 guys on this side, but that one's eligible. It just becomes very difficult. And what it comes down to, are you disciplined enough to put your eyes where they're supposed to be. I'll say this, I'm so thankful that we have a defensive staff that works as hard as they do, because I'm watching it on Saturday, and I'm like, I don't know how we're going to stop this. I have no idea, because there's so much going on. And as a guy that doesn't deal with defense very often, you can get overwhelmed because you try to look at the whole picture and it just looks like stuff's going everywhere. And it's a lot of confusion. So we got to make sure we have great discipline, that we understand what our assignment is, where our eyes are supposed to be, and that we have great eye discipline to keep our eyes there and read what we're supposed to read. Our defense has done a great job of that throughout this year. We got to do it this week in order to be successful.
Yeah, on Friday night, I got a text message from a buddy who's up in Lenior City and just kind of giving me the lowdown, but he sent me a video of a run play. And so for our listeners, what Coach is talking about with, being disciplined and watching what's going on, they are not afraid to move 5 to 6 guys at one time and send them in different directions and then shift again in the same play to, try to confuse and give eye candy to say, hey, we're going here, but really we're going to pop around back. So like you said, it's going to be a tall task. I know you've got the defensive staff that is going to work hard, but as a defensive guy, I was sitting there on Friday night, sitting there thinking like, man, I wonder what they're going to draw up to stop this. So it's exciting to get to see these guys come in on Friday night.
And like I said, at this point in the year, there's 16 teams left in 5A. So you're every single week, no matter who you see, is going to be a great opponent. And Lenior City is no different. They didn't get here by accident. They're second in their region for a reason. They've won 7 ball games for a reason. They beat Ray handedly for a reason. They're a great football team, and they put you in some binds. We've got to make sure that we, again, have great eye discipline, that we understand our responsibilities, that we give our guys great preparation to be successful. And then offensively, we got to understand every single possession is going to be like gold because you can't guarantee that you're going to get more than 5 or 6 possessions. So we've got to make sure every time we have the football that we take advantage of that and we find a way to go down and score points, because you don't want this to turn into a game where there's 6 total possessions in the game and it's 10-10 and you don't have any rhythm on offense at all because you haven't been on the field. So it's going to be a great challenge to make sure that we stay in rhythm on offense and then defense getting us off the field. I'll tell you this, it's our number one objective. Find a way to get up by 2 or 3 scores. If you get up by 2 or 3 scores, now it becomes way more difficult to claw your way back in with this offense. But if we allow them to stay in that single wing and run the ball for 3 yards a clip throughout the entire night, it's going to be a tall task for us. So our kids understand that. They understand the severity of the situation, how good this football team is, and we're excited for the challenge.
Coach, I know Jacob's excited. I'm excited as well. You alluded to it's the round of 16, trying to get to the round of 8 this week, this Friday against Lenior City. Let our viewers and listeners know the rundown on how to get tickets, kickoff time, and all that good stuff.
So all playoff games are 7 o'clock. So that's been kind of a nice thing that we prepared for that all year with our 7 o'clock start time. It's at the MAC, first time in school history that we're hosting a second round game. So we talk about things becoming normal here. I think part of the reason why we had a lower crowd is it's become normal. It doesn't have the same allure of a first round home playoff game because we've done it. It's become something that's no longer unique, which is really cool, honestly, to be at that place. Now, second round home playoff game is unique for us. It's really special, and for us to be here is awesome. It starts at 7 o'clock. You can get tickets the same way, so there's a link on our social media where you can go buy a ticket online. You can do your normal physical copies of tickets as well at our main office. Monogram Market, Town Squire, Gobbles are all selling physical copies of tickets as well. But really excited for a great crowd. Our stadium is always electric. It's always a special place. And we hope to make it a home field advantage for us again this week.
So once again, for Jacob, my name's Andy Morris and Coach Drew Akins, Region Champ head coach, second round. We're excited. I'm going to pump you up as much as I can, Coach. But again, this has been the Walker Valley Football Coaches Show. Come out Friday night, 7 o'clock at the MAC. You'll be able to listen to Jacob and myself at 6:30 for pregame as well. So once again, go Mustangs.